All right, roadmap updates by Niels.
All right, thanks, David. Yeah, so I'll be giving a few roadmap updates on the Flyte OSS side of things. Next slide, please. Cool, so we just released Flytekit 1.4.0. Super excited for this release. You can check out the full change log in the link provided over there in the Flytekit releases section. Just a few highlights. There are plenty of bug fixes and docs improvements, but the main ones here are the DuckDB integrations. The docs for those should be coming in shortly. Another huge one, pod template task configuration. Big shout out to Dan here in the Union AI side for taking lead on a lot of this effort. We will be following up on this by adding support for pod templates on Spark, Dask, and Ray. There is a PR up for container tasks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Yes, also huge shout out to Byron from LinkedIn on this effort. We made a few performance improvements on the Flyte console UI. You can look at the PRs and the full changelog there for more details. And then finally, a community contribution by Steph Lindahl for supporting checkpointing and local mode from cached tasks. So that's 1.4.0. You can install it today. Check it out if you're interested. Next slide, please. Oh, the emoji for this didn't show up. Okay. So for 1.5.0, the theme for this, which is actually a common theme throughout our releases, is to improve the Flytekit authoring experience. So just calling out these 5 items. There's many more. So you can see the full roadmap and the link provided here. By the way, I'll also be kind of posting these slides or the content of these slides up on the Flyte Slack as well, probably under announcements or contribution, the contribute channel. So for 1.5.0, we are going to focus on partial tasks. This is something that will be useful building blocks in and of themselves, but coupled with map tasks, this will help improve the ergonomics of both reusing tasks, partially binding inputs to tasks and reusing them in your workflows, but then also partially binding inputs to tasks that you want to map over so that you can avoid having to write like that extra task when preparing inputs for your map tasks. So that should improve things by quite a bit. This third issue here, we'll also need some community help kind of compiling a list of error messages that are perhaps cryptic or can be improved. So yeah, we'll spend maybe a week, maybe more, depending on however in the community, like how quickly these come in. But if you go to this issue 3404, I'll add a little bit more of description on the issue itself, but yeah, we'd like to crowdsource error messages, as I said, that could be improved. And so the goal here is to make error messages part of the kind of education process as well. So this will help especially new users to Flyte. If, for example, you try using map tasks within a task, things should error out, right? So so a lot of things like that, giving you hints as to how you should use certain Flyte constructs. I'm super excited for these next two. So we're not sort of committing to completing these things this release, but we just wanted to call out to the community. We are starting to work on first improved map construct with array nodes. This is something that we're going to create an RFC for. We'll post this up on the Flyte Slack for feedback. yeah, and we're curious for your thoughts on this. The scope of this hasn't been fully spec'd out yet, but roughly speaking, at a high level, improve the way map tasks are done. And the last point is improved support for name tuple. This is something that we've wanted to improve for a while, but it has like kind of cascading implications in the back end as well. So we're going to write an RFC for this and see what the potential solutions are. Just to call out here, there's the full roadmap you can see in this link over here under Flyte.org projects. And I did want to announce this RFC incubator section and the flight discussions area. So if we go to the next slide, I'll talk about this first before describing what this RFC incubator is all about. So for Flyte 1.5.0 release, there's, just calling out things, general and then more specific things that we are asking the community, if you'd like to help out. So the source one, there's this issue 2686 for support for pydantic type transformer. I understand like there are many people in the community who are sort of interested in this and have maybe working implementations of something on their side. But yeah, we would love if you could provide feedback and if you'd be down to make a contribution for this pydantic support, that would be awesome. Feel free to reach out to me or Eduardo or awesome, Fabio. Yeah, that would be awesome. So let's talk in the issue or on Slack, however you want to discuss this. If we could all put our heads together and like figure out what the upstream implementation is. As I mentioned earlier, the pod template support for Dask, Spark, and Ray. There's a PR up for the container task, but there are these three plugins that would benefit from the pod template, the new pod template feature. So there's an issue up for this. We will probably get to this on the Union AI side at some point soon, but if you would like to add your own contributions to this, that would be very much appreciated as well. And then the final three are kind of more general points, the third one is the improved Flytekit error messages thing that I mentioned before. So as I said, if you can look through like the comments, see if a certain error message hasn't been mentioned yet. It'd be helpful, to add a code snippet of how to reproduce it, what the error message is, and, ideas on what you would like to see as the ideal error message. And then the last two are just general help wanted things around documentation and good first issues. We will do a little bit of work to like maybe clean these up and maybe prioritize them. But if there are any of these buckets that you would like to tackle, we would very much appreciate that. I forgot to remove this part. But in the last slide, next slide, please. Yeah, so if you have an idea for a big feature, big being subjective here, but if it's kind of like a core feature request that seems meaty, we just started this new section under the flight discussion section for this RFC incubator category. So as you can see here, there are a few here that I've written in this section. So if you have any kind of idea that you think have implications across, Flytekit and Flyte IDL, et cetera, we kind of consider those to be those bigger features. Please feel free to articulate them here as a post. We'll help you also promote it on the Flyte Slack. You can also promote it yourself on there. David and I will be working on sort of like an updated RFC process, but roughly speaking, we'll have a deadline for comments, and then we'll, lock it down and probably convert these into issues on the Flyte board. And then they'll kind of like be added to our open source process of prioritizing and so on. And that's it for me, I believe. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Niels. Any question or comment around roadmap? Because I have one. This one for Greg. Sorry to call you out, but I'm curious how a rustified error message will look like. I don't know if you.
No, I just like Rust has very explicit error messages and tell you like exactly what you're doing wrong, even like point to where you're doing wrong. Python's trying to go this route, but like that's just what I meant. Like I love using Rust because the compiler tells you exactly what you're doing wrong. And sometimes Flytekit it can be a little cryptic. So that's where I meant like Rustify, meaning like take inspiration from them because they have done a phenomenal job there.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Eduardo yesterday. It's exactly this, that Rust error messages are like the gold standard, I guess. Not sure how far we can get on that with Flyte, but yeah, I think we will try our best there.